Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Tonight, jubilation in Osun State as Court of Appeal upholds the victory of APC candidate in the 2018 governorship election. Jigawa Oyetola, PDP vows to approach Supreme Court over verdict. President Buhari reappoints Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele for a second 5-year term, writes Senate for confirmation of decision. Police rescues 27 victims, including 5 foreigners kidnapped in Niger State on April the 15th, but found in a forest in Biringwari, Kaduna State. And U.S. seizes North Korean coal ship for allegedly violating international sanctions amid rising diplomatic tension between both countries.
On Business News tonight, Minister of Trade and Investment clears the air on safety of funds for the establishment of the Special Economic Zone Company.
On Sports News tonight, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's hat-trick fires Arsenal into the UEFA Europa League final as London rivals Chelsea FC battles on for survival.
And from the nation's capital, House of Representatives calls for sanctions on ministries, departments and agencies that violate the Treasury single account policy of the federal government.
It's a day of crucial pronouncement for parties involved in the controversial Osun State governorship election as the Court of Appeal set aside the ruling of the Election Petition Tribunal, which nullified the election of Governor Jigawa Oyetola of Osun State today. Except a superior pronouncement is made from the Supreme Court, today's verdict from the Court of Appeal rightly validates Mr. Oyetola's election as the duly elected governor of Osun State. The appellate court nullified the tribunal's ruling on the grounds that the judgment relied on the evidence of 2 witnesses which were not observed. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor has this report.
The small court was filled to capacity as lawyers and supporters of the parties in the suit await the judgment of the appeal court in an appeal filed by Governor Adeboyega Oyetola of Osun State, challenging the judgment of the tribunal which nullified his election. The appellate court in the majority judgment delivered by presiding judge Justice Jubilate and supported by 3 members of the 5-member panel declared the decision of the tribunal as a nullity. The court upheld the submission of the council to the Osun State Governor, Mr. Wole Olanipekun, that the petition was incompetent from the beginning and that it was the tribunal itself that amended it and granted the release not sought by Senator Adeleke. Justice Sankey noted that the Court of Appeal ordinarily, having set aside the entire proceedings of the tribunal, ought to order a retrial of the case. But the 180 days provided by law for election petitions has elapsed. Meanwhile, a member of the panel, Justice George Mbamba, gave a dissenting judgment which dismissed the appeal and upheld the decision of the tribunal. His position is that the submission of the appellant that Justice Obiora did not participate in the proceedings remains speculative because the court record states otherwise. In 2 other appeals filed by the All Progressive Congress and the Independent National Electoral Commission, the court entered a majority judgment of 4-1 in favor of the appellants.
But at this appeal, the majority decision went against us. But I'm categorically telling the whole world that we still have the right of appeal to the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land. We are not satisfied with the majority judgment as delivered, and we are exercising our right of appeal to the Supreme Court for the final determination of this issue of Osun State governorship election as said in 2018.
We are happy that today the minority judgment of the tribunal has become the majority judgment of the Court of Appeal. And we believe that this is another new dawn in our democratic journey, because some of the innovations INEC introduced in the Osun election were repeated in the last general election. And the issues that these judgments have resolved today will assist the lower tribunals now in navigating through some of the new petitions.
By the verdict of the appeal court, Governor Adeboyega Oyetola was validly elected in the Osun State September 2018 governorship elections. But it remains to be seen what the future holds, as Senator Adeleke has vowed to appeal to the Supreme Court, where he still has the right of appeal. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Celebration galore all the way across major streets of Osun State as supporters of the All Progressive Congress, APC, and the state governor trooped out in large numbers to celebrate Governor Oyetola's victory at the appeal court today. The governor and supporters moved in a procession down to the popular Olaya Junction amidst pomp and pageantry. Governor Oyetola says the victory is for the people of the state as he expresses confidence in the judiciary.
Judiciary is the hope of the people. I believe in the integrity of the judiciary. They've done a wonderful job. 4-1 is unanimous. I thank them. I thank the people of the state for the solidarity. You can see things for yourself. People throughout without being prompted. That shows I won that election squarely. That shows the APC is the most popular party in our state. That shows the people believe that we are going to run a good government. I dedicate myself to the service of the people. I'm happy. We are ready for them. Facts are sacred. Facts are same, whether at the appeal or the Supreme. We are ready for them. Let them go there. We meet them now.
Well, the last is yet to be heard about the controversial Osun State governorship election, as the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has announced that it would appeal the verdict of the Court of Appeal at the Supreme Court. The party said in a statement that it's not in any way moved by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, but stands with Nigerians in confidence that justice and respect for the will of the people of Osun State would definitely prevail at the Supreme Court. The PDP explains that the fact that the Court of Appeal had a split judgment indicates that justice was not fully served at the appellate court. The statement says, and I quote, "It's instructive to state that the Court of Appeal did not contest or invalidate the fact that Senator Adeleke won the election, but only cited technicalities and speculations to arrive at its decision. The PDP has also noted that the Court of Appeal failed to act on the full and substantial import of the failure of INEC to produce the ballot papers and record of accreditation to disprove our position that INEC altered results and subverted the will of the people of Osun State." End of quote. The PDP is assuring its supporters that in the next 2 months, Senator Adeleke will be declared the real winner of the election. And staying with legal matters, the Court of Appeal will deliver judgment in the various appeals filed by the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Onnoghen, on Friday. Justice Onnoghen had filed the appeals concerning his trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where he was tried and convicted for false asset declaration. It's not clear which of the appeals pending at the appeal court will be decided on Friday, but some of the appeals before the appellate court include an appeal against the decision of the chairman of the tribunal, Mr. Danladi Umar, who refused to recuse himself from the matter on allegation of bias by Justice Onnoghen. He's also challenging the legality of his trial at the CCT, as he also questions the order of the tribunal which instructed the president to suspend him from office, which President Muhammadu Buhari relied on to suspend the Chief Justice. We turn our attention now to Jigawa State, where the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Mr. Isa Idris, has been impeached in what appears to be an emergency sitting with 20 out of 30 lawmakers present. In his place, Mr. Idris Gaba Kareka was selected as the new elected Speaker of the House. Now, Mr. Kareka himself was impeached as the Speaker of the House back in 2017 in a similar process. On Tuesday, members of the House were involved in a tussle over a new set of House rules banning former principal officers who had been impeached from holding any position. From all indications, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, will be the first CBN governor to be reappointed for a second term in office since 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, and the second since the Apex Bank was set up. That's because the president officially wrote a letter to the Senate informing the federal lawmakers of his intention to extend Mr. Emefiele's tenure. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports that this formed part of proceedings at the Senate today.
Lawmakers in the Red Chamber settled down to the final plenary session of the week.
Management Board of the Federal Capital.
With no motion on the order paper for the day, the Senate moves to consider a long list of reports. One of them is that of the Committee on Youth and Sports Development, which has concluded its investigation into the alleged unconstitutional appointment of a new Director General of the National Youth Service Corps.
That the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps is in accordance with the provisions of the NYC Act, and that no law was violated in the appointment of Brigadier General S. Ibrahim as the Director General of the NYC by the Chief of Army Staff, as presidential approval was given before the official announcement.
The Army says 3 suitably qualified officers were presented to President Muhammadu Buhari. The committee's report is eventually adopted by the Senate.
What has transpired in this particular committee?
Another report is that of the Committee on Diaspora Affairs.
Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization on the screening of Mr. President's nominee for appointment as the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, and approve the nomination of Honorable Abike Dabirewa as Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Just before plenary ends, the Senate President reads a communication from President Buhari.
In view of the expiration of the first tenure of the current governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria on June 2nd, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 812 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007, I hereby present for confirmation by the Senate Mr. Godwin Emefiele for reappointment as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a final term of 5 years.
The confirmation of Mr. Godwin Emefiele must now be completed as soon as possible, as the 8th Senate has just a matter of weeks before its tenure elapses. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
To security matters now, the president has met with service chiefs at the villa in Abuja today. The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, also had in attendance the National Security Advisor and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. At the end of the meeting, the Chief of Naval Staff told journalists that the purpose of the meeting is to brief the president on the security situation after his return from a private visit to the United Kingdom. On the rate of kidnappings in the country, the naval chief says it's reducing as arrests have been made and efforts are on to rescue the traditional ruler who was abducted in Daura.
It was just basically to appraise Mr. President of the security situation generally after his a short vacation abroad. The security agencies briefed him on what has been happening, with particular emphasis on the proliferation of small arms and then what the various agencies are doing to curtail the consequences of these proliferations. I think he has also given directives that the agencies do much more to ensure that Nigerians go to bed and wake up feeling healthy and confident that their security is guaranteed.
Any strategic plan on kidnapping, which is on the increase?
Of course, you will recall that after the last meeting, the IG was directed also to ensure, and consequently, various operations were set up, Puff Ada being one of such strategies. With the setting up of that operations, there had been a remarkable drop in the number of kidnappings. What normally would attract attention is when the key person in government or perhaps is kidnapped.
In part 2, after the break, Benue State government gives 7-day deadline to Ado Traditional Council to fish out masterminds of the killing of 4 Ebonyi indigents in Benue State. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.